When you mention Rallycross in England, there's definitely one name that consistently comes up, and that is Brands Hatch. So it's only appropriate that we take our latest round of the Racecraft Rallycross series to here at one of the most legendary venues in this style of racing. I'm Joe Peak, and I'm here with Ewan O'Leary once again. And Ewan, it looks like the drivers are just getting ready to qualify right now, but I have a feeling that this track on this schedule was a must for this series.
Absolutely. Not many rounds this season, but we've got to include this one here at Brands Hatch. The rises and falls around here, the sections of dirt as well, makes this circuit very, very tricky indeed. And it certainly provides a contrast in terms of elevation to Daytona, which we had 1 week ago, and maybe some of those coming up in the rest of the season as well. It's our only trip outside of the United States, and what a place to do it at Brands Hatch here tonight.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this, and of course some tricky ones that they have picked out for the schedule in this series, but today we will be focusing here on this circuit. Here is how the points format will work for this one, and they do have points for qualifying, which, as we mentioned, they are just getting into, so it is important that they have a good position, not just for the start of the race, but to try and gather up those championship points. The heats will score up to 8 points for the win, and the feature, obviously, is where they're most aiming at. You want to get into that final round to get those 15 points. So, and this is, of course, in the RX2 series that we are racing in. We'll have the RX1s a little bit later. So these are sort of the AM category that the drivers are running. Here is the map of the track, Ewan. Like you said, this place has seen lots of rallycross racing over the years, although the real one isn't quite like this circuit.
No, but as you say, it's got a lot of history around here. If you do Google it, by the way, or YouTube it, then you can find a lot of rallycross racing from around here, from the 80s and stuff. But yeah, this is the circuit we've got in the modern day. It's a sharper right-hander to start off the lap through turn 1, very tricky downhill through the dirt, back onto the road again for turn 4, which follows the usual layout, but does have a bit of dirt on it, sort of artificially placed. There's a jump on the way towards turn 5, which is a sharper turn, also on the dirt, then a big steep downhill before the final turn 7 and 8. The Joker actually goes to the inside, but it is on dirt, whereas the normal lap is on the outside and will be taking place on tarmac. That's the circuit and the venue here for tonight.
As for the point situation, Tyler Schell now up at the top step over Tom Grady, and Matthew Linda certainly had an interesting one last time out. Still sits in third, but about 8 points behind. Remember, you looked at those heat races, and that's 8 points right there for a win. So it is going to be very tight out there for the drivers on trying to be consistent and get as many good finishes as they can so that they don't fall down the order. Very tight fight as well down towards the bottom of the top 10. A mere 4 points separating Winnecke all the way down to Broberg out there. And of our qualifying times, and it looks like most of the drivers have set one, it does look like Linda has the provisional pole position. Of course, they will be split into heats here, Ewan, so they won't necessarily face one another on the front row if they're P1 and P2, but they will likely come together later on.
Yeah, that's in all likelihood. We're hearing that from each heat in RX2 today, the top 2 will be going through straight away to the feature. Of course, 8 points for the race winner in the heat as well, going down all the way to 1 point for finishing in 8th position. That gets you through to the feature, of course. No points for the last chance qualifiers, of course, because that's the chance for those who came in a little bit further down to race their way into the feature, but no points available there. There will be for qualifying though, and not many points available on any particular round. The maximum you can get is not even 30 from a particular round, so it does keep things very, very close. As we just saw in the standings there, the top 5 covered by about 11 points or something along those lines, so things stay very, very close, and we are already going to be at the halfway point in the season after this round here today, round 3 at Brands Hatch.
Which looks like we're getting ready to kick off officially because they are gridding up now for the first heat of the day. Matthew Linda is going to be on the pole for that one. Kim Andre Bjorklund will start in second. Tom Grady will be in P3. Then you've got Renee Wegner in the 4th position. Greg Johnson starting P5. Sim van Vereld will be in 6th. Paul Smith starting from 7th, and Eric Dubois will be in P8. As was mentioned, 2 will go through to the feature automatically, but they will get more opportunities down the line. How tricky is it going to be into this first corner here, Ewan? Is this going to be a real pinch point?
It certainly is. It's a very, very tight right-hander. You think about Brands Hatch normally it being quite narrow around there, quite difficult to get into. It's going to be even more so here into turn 1 of the first race.
All right, looks like we've got everybody out there and waiting. The staggered start, you can see, not like last week where we had 2 rows of 3 at the front. This time it is 4 rows of 2, but all kind of cantered across from each other. I think we should be getting going here shortly as the timer should be up, but I'm not seeing them get the lights ready yet, so they're going to make the drivers wait a little bit longer, and I'm sure the nerves just building behind the wheel of each and every one of these vehicles. Mostly Subarus, of course, the popular car with the lone Fiesta of Paul Smith trying to carry that banner here for the American brand. We'll see if he can fare well for them out here today on home soil. Looks like we are indeed now ready as the lights start to come up. The engines rev. It's round 3 here for the Racecraft Rallycross series, and the RX2 cars are off. Green flag is out. Incredible start there for Linda, who jumps up to the front. And as they swing it down to the first corner, will we get through clean? Are we going to get anybody turned around? Looks good to me.
Yeah, very good start from everybody. A single file as they make their way through. Hop over the curb at 3 and now head towards the uphill. Now turn 4 where they're going to shorten the distance as much as possible. It is a clean start from everyone. That is good to see. All 8 of them getting through the opening couple of corners cleanly.
Off the jump down out of Druids. And, of course, they have a little bit of a tighter one here where it goes to dirt. Briefly back again. Battle here between Johnson and Smith. But it looks like Smith comes out ahead between the pair of them, although he's got a threat from Wegner in the number 77. Who will take the Joker this first time through? Doesn't look like I'm seeing anybody. Everybody's staying out on the regular course. No, I take it back. Dubois is going to cut down to the inside.
Yeah, he might as well from the very back of the field, and you can just see slipping and sliding over the dirt, and now back onto the racetrack again. So that is the Joker taken on lap 1, which is not often done from anybody really, but Dubois has, and he's a few seconds off the back of the pack now as a result. But he will of course gain a little bit later on. The run round the outside, certainly when you come off the corner, is very, very advantageous.
And if you're curious on who takes the Joker lap, watch for the yellow icon there on our timing tower. That'll let you know who has taken it, who has not. Once it's yellow, they've taken it. Meanwhile, up towards the front, Linda still leading over Bjorklund. Those 2 are your transfer spots currently. We'll see whether or not that changes. Neither takes the Joker this time around. Up through the long right-hander of Clark behind them. I do see that Tom Grady has taken his Joker.
Yeah, it's just going to allow Greg Johnson to get through. What about Paul Smith? How close is he going to get on the way through here? Not very, I don't think. So Grady will just lose that little bit of time and at least hold on to 4th place. But in this race so far, it looks like the top 2 are fairly secure. Matthew Linda and Kim Andre Brooklyn look pretty safe in those top 2 places. Greg Johnson's a good couple of seconds behind them both.
Very, very wide all the way to the gravel for Linda there up through Druids. I don't think it slowed him down too badly. You can see they've got those anti-cut curbs down to the insides to prevent drivers from getting a little bit too greedy around here. We look back at the top 2 once again. Bjorklund starting to lose a little bit of touch. 1.3 seconds up to Linda, and he's going to elect to take the Joker lap this time through. Not only is it dirt, even though it's shorter and to the inside, look at all the bumps and jumps that they've got to deal with.
Yeah, it's very, very tricky over the bumps through that section. Going through as well is Greg Johnson, who loses out to Tom Grady, who goes through at the end of lap 3. So those 2 reverse places, but still the top 2 is where it's important, and they're a long, long way back from that.
A little bit of an attack on Paul Smith from Wegner once again. He's trying to cut back underneath them. No dice right now. They glance over the curbs, climb back up the hill to Druids as we take a look once again at Linda. He is absolutely stretching it out now. Kim is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, Absolutely no way. I thought he was going to do an entire backflip over the jump there, but he's okay and continues on the front now. Might as well take the Joker as Tom Grady loses out to Greg Johnson again. Good battle for third place between those two, but just look at the aggression that Matthew Linda is using here over the bumps and just through the corners as well. You noted his very, very wide line through turn 4, and that is... it doesn't seem to be particularly a great line, but it is working out very well for him, and he is still leading by quite some distance, and I believe everyone's taken their Joker lap now, maybe with the exception of René Wegner there in 6th place.
Yeah, and this being the final lap, if they haven't taken it, they're going to have to this time. Yes, all drivers have now taken the lap. There is that wide line that I was talking about. I wonder if that just straightens off the exit and he gets much more speed down here all the way to where it compresses at the bottom of the hill.
I think he's just getting a bit more purchase really off of the actual gravel, the road circuit gravel, if you like, if I can call it that, instead of the dirt that you get on the inside there. It's quite a cheeky tactic, but it seems to be working out all right for Matthew Linda.
Off of Clark and to the Brabham straight. It's going to be a win in the first heat for Matthew Linda, who takes the top spot in that number 3. Bjorklund will transfer along with him from second. Johnson is going to be the first, demoted down to the last chance qualifiers behind him. So he'll have to try and do it again. There's a little bit of damage there on the front of, I think that was Tom Grady there that we saw sporting some war wounds on the front bumper as the rest of them continue to cross the line. So there you go. Linda takes the victory. Bjorklund in second. They will automatically go to the feature race. Greg Johnson, Tom Grady, René Wegner, Sim van Vereld will be in 6th, Paul Smith in 7th, and Eric Dubois in 8th. If I can get the names out here, as we're already gridding up for the next heat as well. Heat number 2, 7 more cars ready to try and see what they can do. Cody Wienecke going to be starting on the pole of this one with Andrew Howell in 2nd, Renee Sutens in the 3rd spot. Jake Robichaux will be in P4. Vigard Olsen-Leah will be in 5th, Crystal King P6, and Rume Antonissen will be starting in 7th. I'm familiar with Crystal King, racing over in the short course trucks typically, but we see a bit of a crossover between the two disciplines every now and then. So let's see how she can do over here. She is a fierce fighter, I can tell you that much. So she'll be fun to watch with these cars requiring you to be very elbows out in your battling. Once again, being held a bit longer than I anticipated, as looks like everybody is gridded up, but they're just giving it a bit more time before we get the lights up and ready to go. So we'll sit tight for a brief moment. We got a good preview there of what to expect here today with our first heat of RX2. And don't forget, we've got more coming with RX1 after this. As here we go. Lights are now up. 5 laps here for the second heat of the day. Waiting long for the call this time. There it is. Green flag is out. 57 with a monster jump. Renee is up to the lead before they even get to the first turn. Oh, but he gets a little bit of a punt from behind. That's going to send him out into the barriers, and it goes right back to Wienecke here, Ewan.
It's not quite as clean of a start this time, is it, unfortunately? Slight bit of contact in towards turn 1. We may go and have a look at it again a little bit later, but the field scatters behind. Top drivers, or indeed Pulsar, are getting away very cleanly and away from the rest of the field, but behind, everybody battling, bumping and barging and contact in towards turn 1, which we did fear at the start of the day.
Renee all the way at the tail end of the field. I guess Cody didn't like that start. I don't think it was intentional, but clearly just ran over his competitor just a little bit. Who's going to take that Joker this time? Only Renee with his off, although he committed to it extremely late there.
Well, he did go to it very late, and then he went all over the curves, didn't he, on the inside line there, and that's surely not going to help him. It's always one of those things when you do decide to go there later, it does mean that you're not really prepared for it, and things can go wrong unless it's premeditated. And then there's a spin further back for Andrew Howell, Rume Antonissen, all involved. Jake Robichaux as well. What a mess back here in towards turn 1 for the second lap as well.
Antonison got turned by Howell from what I could see as they went by us, and that just caused a major stack up. This works out well for Rene because this slows up a bunch of those cars, and he's already taken his Joker, so should hopefully cycle out in front of them as soon as they take theirs, as they all pile in to turns 5 and 6 here and out towards the pavement once again. I do see our leader, Cody Winecki, off in the distance, heading through the Joker lap himself. Leah going through as well, but Robichaud elects to take to the pavement.
And so 3 through the Joker on this occasion. Rennie Sutton should make up a few places as well, and will do. Goes past Crystal King as well as Andrew Howell as well. Cody Winecki, by the way, has taken the Joker as well here, as has Vegard Olsen-Lear. And so I reckon those top 2 are maybe secure at this point. Jake Robichaud is going to have to do a big effort to not only take his Joker and take second place here, because look at this now, it's very close for the moment. He still needs to go through the dirt section of the final corner though.
That's Leah in front of him, along with Sutons, who's already taken his behind, so he'll probably gobble up that spot from the number 69 of Robichaud once he elects to go through there. Back onto the paved portion of the circuit. He needs a good launch and to line this up right if he's going to take it this time around. Let's see. No. Looks like he will not. No, he will, actually, as we go to replay of what caused this monstrous stack up down at the Armco.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to call that. Was Andrew Howell in the wrong in terms of going down the inside there, or was he driven across on the way in towards turn 1? I find that one a difficult one to call, I've got to be honest. But one thing is for sure, the obvious stack up that we saw afterwards was quite remarkable, and everyone was stuck behind. Now Jake Robichaud has taken the Joker. Rennie Sutton is on the back of Vegard Olsen-Lear, and this is going to be a good fight for that final spot inside the top 2.
Absolutely. This is for a transfer position, so this is important. Leah holds the upper hand. Track position, typically king at these rallycross tracks, as it's so tough to try and overtake, at least successfully, unless you start to get a little argy-bargy in there as they head back up into Clark. They have to take the pavement this time, and it's a long, long right-hander, multiple apexes around, and usually this track does not have those barriers to the inside either, so they can't cheat to the inside. They have to get right up against them.
And now the final lap, the white flag is waving one more time around here. There's a look from Rennie Sutton, who will be ruining the earlier errors, by the way. It's put him so far back, but it won't matter. He'll go through on the inside and through towards turn 2. Sweeps around the outside now to get ahead of Vegard Olsen-Lear, who was forced into a mistake there, pressured into that error.
The 57 with a brilliant recovery drive. If he can hold on to this all the way to the checkered flag, he will be through. Let's not forget that the 57 actually started from third. It was just that brilliant start that was so shocking, both in how it started and how it ended on top of things. But he's managed to work his way back forward and should automatically be advanced through. As we take a look at our leader, Winecki hasn't had a lot of action since that beginning. I'm sure he's not made many friends, though, after he punted off his competitors. But both he and Rene will get through as Cody takes the victory in heat number 2, and Rene does last and stay in that transfer spot. Vegard Olsen-Lear had a brief taste of things, but will have to head to the LCQ.
Yeah, so top 2 go through once again, and in the end it was Rennie Sutton who recovered from that error to finish second. But it's going to be a good fight in the LCQ based on the 3 that were just behind.
I think it'll be a fantastic fight. Here's your results. Winecki and Sutons, as we said, will transfer. Leah, Robichaud, Howell, King, and Antonison are down to the LCQ later on this evening. We've got one more heat, and then we head into those LCQs, and this one we'll see Sebastian Broberg on the pole, as you've got Tyler Schell starting next to him. Schell was up and down the order last time. Oh, and we're starting quickly on this one. So there is the rest of your field, and they're already heading down into turn 1. Will we be able to make it through clean on this one? I'm not seeing as any cars getting punted this time, but Broberg is going to go from the pole to the top spot here through the first few quarters.
Yeah, good execution off the start and a good lead as well in the Fiesta out front. It's a big slide up towards turn 4, bit of a battle for third place. The top two briefly being allowed to get away here, but being afforded some breathing room on the way now down towards 5.
Oh,
That's
no!
too much though, too much of a slide. And now there's a huge stack up involving almost everyone.
In fact, they almost blocked the track and the last one coming in.
Oh my word.
Unfortunately, didn't have many places to go. That was Colton Easterday, and more cars that look like wrecking on the way out of there. Broberg still leads. Hughes is running away, but that big old pileup that we saw has sent everybody so far behind. It's kind of free reign up at the front here, Ewan.
Well, that was bizarre. Sebastian Broberg is miles out in the front. Devin Hughes is the one who's gotten out of that chaos better than everyone else. But other than that, it was a complete mess from absolutely everyone. The start in the end, it wasn't too dramatic, but the preceding corners after that certainly were. Charlie Schell now goes through on Colton Easterday in towards turn 1, muscles him into the barrier slightly, but he's through to third now. What a bizarre start, I've got to say, in many ways. Didn't see that coming through turn 5.
Neither did I. And Devin Hughes, went back to see his involvement in that incident just to double check, and he was the first one on the scene of the car parked across the way, but got hit from behind even though he came to a halt, and that almost like punted him through the accident, and he kept going. So it all worked out in the end as behind him, Schell takes his Joker lap, but he's got quite a distance up to Hughes, almost 6 seconds to make up in only 3 laps. I think that's just a bit too tall of an ask.
I think so. I think most of these gaps are too big to really close down, even with still more than half this race remaining. Charlie Schell has now taken that Joker. The fight for 4th place is an interesting one. Of course, this does have bearing on where you're going to start the LCQs. That is not going to be good for Colton Easterday and Kenny Hoffman, though. The two cars just seem to get interlinked there slightly, and Easterday is the one who's at the back of the field now, already taken the Joker on that last lap, but what a mess for them at turn 1 as well.
There's some things I don't think I've ever seen before here, and I have a feeling that's going to be a theme throughout the season. Some frantic stuff as Tyler Schell, just outside of that transfer zone, heads back into Clark. Oh, he's way off into the dirt there briefly, trying to just straighten things out into the corner up in front of them, finishing up his Joker lap. Devin Hughes returns 3.5 seconds ahead of Tyler, still sitting very pretty.
Yeah, very much so. And going to be starting very well in the feature as well if they stay there, of course. In the case of Sebastian Broberg, anyway, he's currently on his way to winning this heat. But looks like everybody, I think, other than Broberg, has taken their Joker now. Kenny Hoffman has done, along with Owen Anderson as well. And so these are the battles that really matter. Once again, it sort of bears on your grid position for the LCQs rather than actually having a bearing on making it through to the feature or not, because those positions are long gone for these two.
A look up the inside by the 11, but he's going to be pinched down on the exit. Slower run down the hill where you need the speed car, all out of sorts there for Anderson in the 52. Covers off the inside. Brilliant back and forth between them, but yeah, Hoffman just points off the inside wall.
Yeah, just tried to undercut a little bit too much there, got straight into the wall as Colton Easterday returns back to the pit lane. I'm afraid a pretty disastrous heat for him, and he'll be starting his LCQ from the back row as well, whichever, or near it. Oh no, he will be starting from the very back, won't he, I suppose, from heat 3, so it's going to be a difficult evening for him, unfortunately, but Sebastian Broberg has gotten off to the dream start, just needs to remember to take his Joker so he doesn't get disqualified, but then he'll be fine.
You know, in all this craziness, I had missed that he hadn't taken that Joker yet. So, yeah, hopefully he remembers to do so, or else it'll be quite a penalty on him. Let's watch from on board. I'd love to stay on this through the jumps here, see what it looks like. Just the car bounding over them. There's a couple more before you're done. There's one, and there's one as he heads back to the pavement on the Brabham Straight and will take the win in heat number 3. The Ford Fiesta going to get a victory, at least in this one, followed by the Subaru of Devin Hughes taking the other transfer spot. Here we go. Battle for who is going to start where when we get to the LCQs. Anderson versus Hoffman. Is it a good enough launch off the final corner for the 11? It doesn't look like it.
No, not on this occasion, but a Ford Fiesta win on this occasion, which is good to see. It's pretty rare. Oh dear, there's a bit of afters. I hope that wasn't malicious. I don't think it was. But there we are, Heat 3.
Yeah, there is your results on that last heat with Broberg and Schell going through. Poulsen, Hughes, Hoffman, and Easterday and Anderson will find themselves going to the last chance qualifiers, of which we will have 2. And we've got the first one up. Let's hope we get a little bit of time here as the cars are gridding. Greg Johnson on the pole for this. Tyler Schell will be next to him. Jake Robichaud, and it looks like we are ready to go already as the lights are up. So here we go. Ooh, very slow start for Easterday in the back, but the car does get going. Maybe he's just giving it a little bit of space considering what happened last time. 8 drivers down into the first turn, 8 drivers out.
Yeah, 8 drivers all the way through, fortunately, as well. Oh, some dived into turn 2, though. And there was contact further back there, unfortunately. So out of 2 and 3 they go, all on the dirt. They all avoid the wall, but these positions are being fiercely contested now. They know that this is their last chance, as the name suggests, and they are fighting for it. But thankfully it's a slightly cleaner start than Heat 3. At least we've seen it through turn 1, 2 and 3, and they make it through the second dirt section this time as well.
Yeah, it looked a little bit cleaner after that turn 3 there. And ooh, we got a driver heading down into the Joker. Greg Johnson is going to take it on the first lap. Whoa, contact there for the lead.
Wow, big slide. I think the car behind there just being slightly outfoxed by the fact that Tyler Schell was going a bit slower. It was René Wegner who got into the back of Schell and very nearly spun him around entirely. Top 3 go here, of course, through from the last chance qualifiers. The first of them this is. And so there's a little bit more chance as Crystal King hits the wall at turn 2.
It's the second person we've seen do that. She takes a tow. Car seems to be done. Unfortunately, just too hard of a hit. That's a bit of a shame to see. So Paul Smith will find 1 position, but probably not much more than that unless we get more DNFs, because he was the one that was caught there in that barrier before and is way at the back of the field. Battle here for 3rd position between Wegner and Johnson.
They decide to forego the Joker lap once again. So this is the fight for 2nd place. At the moment, Schell goes through. The Joker, can they both get through? It should be possible. Oh no! Contact! And up onto his roof goes René Wegner. That was unbelievable. And he's stuck in the middle of the road. Oh, he doesn't know where to go. He's going to get smashed by Colton Easterday on the front straight.
What a day for Colton Easterday. Both of them go too deep into the corner. That's Robichaud, who has already finished his Joker lap, I believe, as well. Yes, he has, but apparently forgot his braking point in all the chaos there. That was one of the strangest wrecks I have seen in some time. And did the 77 actually get going? Nope, looks like he's done.
Yeah, looks like it. A really bizarre situation, though, as they both tried to go around the outside of Tyler Schell there. A bizarre clipping of wheels. And up and over goes René Wegner. Gets smashed on the front straight as well by Colton Easterday, who does seem to be slightly damaged, I've got to say. Was in 3rd, hadn't taken his Joker though, and he has done now. Allows Jake Robichaud to go through, but I don't think Easterday will be able to provide much of a challenge with his car in the state that it is right now.
Certainly not. Andy's got to make up 2 seconds in 2 laps, it looks like. That's going to be just, I think, a little bit too short for him to do anything. Top 3 are through this time, remember. So Schell, Johnson, and Robichaud are the ones sitting. Well, no, Robichaud just bounded over the curbs, and he's turned around.
Oh!
He's lost track of where he is.
Oh, no. He was on course for a feature race here tonight, but no. Colton Easterday goes and gets that one now, and he's in 3rd, just ahead of Ovind Anderson, who still needs to take a Joker. So this could be Easterday through, even despite the damage. But what a costly error from Jake Robichaud there, who just needed to bring it home, really.
Racing gods are fickle things. I don't know how, but Easterday sitting in a very good spot to try and continue racing this evening. Can he manage to bring this one home to sneak into the feature race? As we see from Anderson finishing up his Joker lap, he is way far behind now at this stage. There is the distance as the white flag waves for everyone.
Yeah, Tyler Schell should be on course for a win here in a start of 7th place. in the feature, ahead of Greg Johnson, directly ahead of Greg Johnson, who should go through as well from the last chance qualifier. You'd imagine Colston Easterday will round out the three of them to go through. However, you just don't know. I think he's lost a bit of speed as a result of the damage, but let's see. It's certainly going to be Shell and Johnson through first, though.
Be a cruel irony if he just could not have enough speed to wrap up this transfer spot. Let's see what happens as the win for the last chance qualifier goes to Tyler Shell, with Greg Johnson coming home in second behind him. And Colton Easterday has just one more corner to go. Anderson's got it down to 1.6 seconds. Will this engine hold out?
I think so. It looks like it avoids the dirt on the way through the final turn, comes over the line, and despite the damage and a smash into the wall at the end, it is going to be a feature for Colton Easterday against the odds in the end.
Speaking of against the odds, Paul Smith winds up in fifth, which I also did not expect. He gained a lot of spots. It'll just be for naught. I'm sure he's going to be throwing that iconic cap on the ground after the way that thing started kind of scuppering his hopes of getting through. Here is your finishing order for this one, with the B main going, the C main going to Shell, Johnson, and Easterday, the Anderson, Smith, Robichaux, Wegner, and King, unfortunately, out on this one. Looks like they are gridded up already for the next one. They are in a hurry to get through these, there is your 8 drivers. Engines are already revving, and Leah, despite starting on pole, is smashed into the wall immediately and turned on his lid.
Immediately it all goes wrong in the second last chance qualifier as well. Now through 2 and 3 they'll go up onto the curves for everybody. It looks like a clean start for everyone else at least, but on the run down towards turn 1, smash into the wall and a flip over as well. What dramatic starts we've seen here tonight already.
And Van Vereld there in the number 18 has gone up from 5th to 2nd. And we're not even done with the first lap. What a way to side through all the chaos there, as in the back they still have quite a bit of that. The 11, the 298 and the 49 are still swapping positions. And one of them will head through. That's Poulsen in the 49. He's being joined by Dubois.
Yeah, so only a couple taking the Joker on that occasion, and none of the top 5, in fact, going through the dirt section this time around. So at the end of lap number 1, things will calm down slightly, but these places are being fiercely contested. As I mentioned, last chance for all of them. As long as they get into the top 3, they can win themselves a spot on the grid for the feature, and those places are going to be fought over very, very fiercely indeed. So bumping over the curbs through 2 and 3 on that occasion. Out into the dirt they go for the second time, now over the jump and towards turn 5. Needs to be a little bit straighter over the jump than that, but they've got through, and some very wide lines as they use the grass a little bit through turn 5.
That's Howell, who's trying desperately to stay within those transfer spots. He's in 3rd right now, and he needs to be ahead of Hoffman in the 11, who's going to elect to take his Joker lap. So will Howell, along with our leader, Tom Grady. So a popular lap, this one. And returning back to the track, Grady slow gets a hit from behind from Van Vereld as there it is right there on screen now. Up towards turn 1, they do kind of drift back onto the racing line a little bit, but didn't expect it to be that messy.
Yeah, it's difficult to rejoin really, and make sure you stay in line, if you like, or stay clean through there. It's very difficult as you get spot back onto the racetrack, right on the racing line where you want to be. As I believe Eric Dubois, yes, has had an incident, unfortunately, a bit further back. I think it's involved Rume Antonsen, and unfortunately the both of them are a long way off the back of the field now. Dubois actually back to the pit lane, so that is a real shame for them as the battle for the lead continues. Van Vereld holds it still, but will go for the Joker now and will probably lose it to Tom Grady.
Hand right back, but he did slow him down somewhat, remember, so this should put him closer. The question is how close as Howell goes by. Howell actually jumps him and moves himself up into 2nd now, I believe. Tom Grady has taken his Joker, and Van Vereld's the only one that still needs to. So is he actually in 3rd, or is Poulsen close enough that he could demote him?
Well, I think Van Vereld has just taken it on this last lap, so Poulsen is going to have to do it on the road if he's going to get this top 3. He just showed decent signs, though, of pace maybe here. He's not that far away, but there's only 2 laps to go. When they get to the line, they'll see the white flag, and Thomas Poulsen may well run out of laps.
So apologies, Van Verelt through. Oh, and we got a spinner in Howell. Up through turns 5 and 6, unfortunately, just loses the plot, hits the wall, and gets turned around with 2 laps to go. That's going to send him out of the transfer positions. Poulsen gets promoted.
Well, that is a real shame for Andrew Howell, who was surely going to go through there, but ends up getting knocked out in this one. Surely now ending up in 5th position. The white flag will wave, and so Kenny Hoffman all of a sudden will fill out. There maybe is a chance. Thomas Poulsen is in the transfer spot now, inside that top 3, but Kenny Hoffman wants to take it off him. It's quite wide from Van Vereld into 2 and 3 as well. It could all stack up here on the last lap.
Yeah, maybe it's not going to be Poulsen that's in trouble. Maybe it'll be Van Vereld as they swing through Druids. All of them trying to straighten that one out. Sim is going to get himself a little bit of a better launch than Poulsen. But what about here into turn 5? This has been a trouble spot. Both of them are clean.
Yep, everyone's clean through here. It's a good run from Poulsen, though, into the final couple of corners. This will be turn 7. The left-hander, he's so close, is Poulsen. He needs to make sure that Hoffman doesn't gain and capitalise on this, and he does by staying to the very inside as Hoffman pushes him all the way.
And it looks like it's going to be Tom Grady taking the win. Van Vereld will get himself the 2nd place. Poulsen eking through ahead of Hoffman and getting to race in the feature. But Kenny will be done for the day. It looks like Howell as well. Leah will come home, but will be only 6. Antoniessen is going to be the last to finish as Dubois had his DNF, unfortunately. Whew. What a frantic start, and we still have the feature yet to go, Ewan.
Yeah, the feature for the RX2s coming up as these are the results from the second last chance qualified. Tom Grady, Sim van Vereld and Thomas Poulsen will all go through into that 12 driver feature. Very much looking forward to seeing how it's going to pan out, because what a few races we have seen there. Very, very enjoyable so far. And now, of course, one more race to come, the feature for RX2, the fixed setup series.
Well, we finally have at least a chance to breathe for a moment, because it was nonstop for a while. And Ewan, from what we saw out there, if you were coaching one of these drivers, what's the main thing you'd be pointing out to them to watch out for in this feature? What'd you pick up?
Well, you've got to survive lap 1, I think, is one of the main ones to accomplish. Turn 1 is very, very tight, of course, and very difficult, and there it is. You can see it on our screen there. It's a really sharp right-hander, and you've got to be very, very careful of everyone there, because you can get all stacked up. But there are loads of narrow sections. Turn 2 and 3 are difficult ones, as well as 5 and 6 as well. Wherever you go onto the dirt here, it's always tight and narrow because of the walls, because of the way this track has been constructed. Just mean that the sort of places you can go to avoid incidents are very limited, and that means that staying out of trouble is going to be very important. Those who are going to start up towards the front here are certainly going to be in with an advantage for this race. There's no doubt about that.
I'm looking at some of these guys who have pulled sneaky moves in the past. Tyler Schell certainly comes to mind. Last race, who managed to get himself a lot higher up than you would have expected. Remember, he's our points leader. He's going to be starting from 7th in this feature race, so he will be in the thick of the scrum, unfortunately, and will have to indeed, as Ewan said, try and avoid the mess of that first lap and hope that he comes out the other side. He wants to hold on to that points lead. Matthew Linda from the pole on this one is going to have a clear shot, we hope, but as we saw, doesn't always mean anything, as some drivers coming into the first turn first don't leave first if they just manage to run through there a little hot or get some help along the way. Looks like our drivers getting ready to grid up for the last race of RX2, but we got RX1 after this, so this is not over, as it is Matthew Linda on the pole for this final race. Cody Winecki will be in 2nd, Sebastian Broberg 3rd, and Kim Bjorklund 4th. Rene Suttens will be in 5th as Devin Hughes starts 6th. And it's Tyler Schell, P7, and Tom Grady in 8th. Next row sees Greg Johnson on the inside with 9th, Sim van Vereld in 10th, and Colton Easterday 11th. Tom Poulsen rounds out 12 cars, the biggest field that we have had yet. Will that just add to the mess coming down into the first turn? Look at them all ready to go all cantered across the track next to one another, but in rows of two. They will have to try to position themselves into that first turn and hope that they can get through without being troubled with some of the massive accidents we've seen so far today. I think we're just about to the lights coming up here in a moment as the clock ticks over to 1 minute. And Linda is going to hope that he can be clear and be away from anybody making contact with that orange and black car down to the inside when they reach that first turn. Still giving it a moment here. Here we go. Lights now finally up. The engines start to rev. Ooh, a little bit of a false start there from the 88. I thought I saw green flag is out. And as they plunge down into the first turn, Linda isn't fully clear. In fact, everybody's getting into one another. Up to the front, it's going to be Renee Sultans of all people. It is an absolute octopus putting on socks.
Well, only 2 of the 12 have gotten through cleanly. It's an absolute mess on the run down the hill there. Everybody's going to have to get themselves spun back around after that. Cody Winicki was briefly in the lead, but then it all went wrong. And now the field is all over the place as we look for a feature race winner. It's almost as if no one did want to win on the way towards turn 1. 10 of the 12 drivers getting involved in incidents. Some of them are still making their way around turn 4.
Look at them over the jump. Oh, no. And they get tangled midair. That is never a good thing, sending them into the wall out of Druids. Renee Sultans leading over Sebastian Broberg. It is a 2-horse race up at the front. Neither of them will take the Joker lap this time by. And Renee, we have to remember, started this race in 5th.
Wow. What a day he's had as well. He goes very wide though, and Sebastian Broberg is going to retake the lead and goes round the outside to take that second place. I was just about to say, Renee Sultans was only just one of those who made it in through the heats, of course. In his heat, he was pretty close to not making it. What did finish second in the end, but now he's in the lead of a feature on his way to possibly the full 15 points. But Sebastian Broberg gets himself in the front, and he'll hope that this is as clear and as clean of a drive as he had in his heat, of course, which he won.
Yeah, and Broberg was kind of the sandwich that started this whole thing off. It was Winicki who came over to the side of him. They made contact. Linda was on the other side, no place to go. And Broberg just eventually made it out the other side in second place, but I'm sure he was wondering what in the world is going on. And he takes his Joker lap as Sultans is now giving chase on Broberg as we follow a little bit farther down through the field. Excuse me, that wasn't Broberg we were watching there on his Joker lap. That was, I think, the likes of Linda taking that one. That was Johnson. I'll get it eventually. Down through 2, 3, and into 4 we head, and some drivers having to play some big makeup here since the start.
I think the bottom 3, unfortunately, Devin Hughes, Tyler Schellen and Colton Easterdale are all out of the race as well. Or at the very least, they're down in pit lane for the moment. This feature race, of course, is double the length, as you've probably noticed. 10 laps around here for the feature here tonight. Same will be for RX1, the open setup category as well, and so just gives us a little bit more time to settle into this race and hopefully see a few battles out there. Thomas Poulsen takes his Joker now, hoping to come out ahead of Kim-Andre Björklund, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to be close on the exit, and there's contact. Had fear that we were going to see the same as what we saw earlier on with a big rollover on the front straight, but thankfully not on that occasion.
Linda, who started this thing on pole, is now stuck behind that number 49. And Linda has not taken his Joker, it appears, so he does have some time. He could maybe try and jump them using that this lap, although he's going to take an excursion out to the gravel pit before returning on to the circuit.
Well, through turn 5 and 6 again for these drivers. This is really the battle for the podium, because I think the front 2 are gone. Sebastian Broberg seems to have the pace over everybody, and Renee Sultans, to be fair, who is just behind him for the moment. But Tom Grady is going to have to fight for this 3rd place with Björklund and Poulsen. Not particularly with Matthew Linda, I would say, because he's taking his Joker now. Went right over the curb there.
In fact, he went over a couple of those curbs. I know that these are tall cars, but we discussed it last week at Daytona. You can't really do... I mean, look at the state of that thing now. He has absolutely demolished the underside of the car, and I'm not sure that it's going to be all that quick.
No, I don't think so. But whose car will be clean and all as it came out of the workshop, to be honest, because we've seen such a mess in towards turn one, and further back from that, obviously it's very dirty around here, so everybody's just going to be looking a bit worse for wear at this stage, but settling into the race. Now we've completed almost the heats distance. Sim van Vereld unfortunately retires from this one to become our 4th retirement in this race. We are now through 5 laps, still 5 to go though, still a normal heat distance to go.
I can't imagine what's going to happen if that's all gone down in the first half of this one. It's not even that long of a race. Around the final turn, they're trying to play catch-up. And so far, Broberg, Sutens, and Grady are your podium finishers, or podium sitters currently, down through turn one. Grady is in a little bit of threat. That's Bjorklund behind him, along with Poulsen, giving chase to see if they can demote him one more. Grady up 5 positions from the start of this thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to see the way the order has changed. This race has just been tipped over onto its head from the very, very start, and what a dramatic start it was. We're going to, I think, take a look at it in a few moments' time to see what on earth went on here, because this is going to take some unpicking.
Yeah, so watch the car in the middle, just kind of pinched. That's Broberg. I mean, I don't know, other than he kind of initiates the initial contact, but it's hard to tell. And then everything behind is just a comedy of errors. It's Keystone Cops.
It's unbelievable, really. They fall down the hill, and then there's some more rejoins as well on the way towards turn 2. A very, very bizarre start indeed. There were 2 separate incidents in that though, really, weren't there? There was that pinch further towards the back, and there was that one with Broberg that you were talking about as well. And there was 2 separate pinches and 2 separate incidents that sort of set off the front half and the back half respectively. Now there's more contact, and around goes Tom Grady. Round the outside goes Bjorklund, as Grady was clipped by Poulsen, because Bjorklund and Poulsen were fighting. Tom Grady loses out to both of them.
Bjorklund now up onto the podium positions. He's managed to sneak through. Can he hold on to it? Is he going to get a little bit of payback from the drivers behind, looking to try and get back onto that top spot? Still missing Broberg for a joker lap here. Looks like Hughes, Shell, and Easterday, who I think some of our, those are our 3 retirements, so they aren't going to be able to take it anymore regardless. It's a bit of a moot point. There is your leader down through 1, 2, and 3. Looking nice and smooth and steady as she goes.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful driving at the moment for Sebastian Broberg. It's going very, very well indeed. Now completing lap 8 almost. Just need to be a little bit careful with his joker, of course. Only 2.5 seconds to René Sutens at the moment, and so there's not too much comfortability at the moment for this leader. If I was him, I would have taken my joker by now. I certainly would do it now if I hadn't already, because you do kind of want to find out where you are, and you don't want a nasty surprise on the last lap if you take your joker and you end up losing the lead, because of course if you come out of the joker behind on the last lap, then there's no time to regain that lead.
With how short these laps are as well, I'm noticing that Broberg is consistently half a second slower than Sutens, and this latest one picks it up. He matches Sutens this time, but I think he may have gotten the message that he can't just dilly-dally here as we check back in with the midfield once again. This is the battle between Grady and Linda.
And that was into the wall for Matthew Linda. I think when Poulsen went through, he was very close to the wall. When Grady went through, he grazed the wall. And Linda certainly probably hit it. Goes wide in the gravel there as well to gain a bit of traction. But thankfully they all continue on there in that battle. Sutens, I think, has lost a bit of time on this lap. It goes out to 3.5, 3.6 seconds. Actually out to nearly 4 seconds now. I think Broberg will be okay, but just in this situation I can't help but feel like you'd be a bit nervous about not having taken your joker yet.
Well, he's going to have to do it on this last lap as the white flag waves for him. I almost wonder if he's going to maybe try to use it as a bit of a block. If René comes out near him, that he could try to position the car to halt his momentum.
Oh, he needs to be careful with that. He grazed the wall as well through turn 2. But yeah, that's what he's got to do here. He's got to throw the Fiesta right in front of Sutens if he's going to be challenged here. He's got to come out this joker, throw it over the road, that Fiesta, and throw the car in the way as best as he possibly can. So Broberg now just has to execute that, and he will be a feature race winner at Brands Hatch.
Will Rene be close enough is the question. It's still up at just under 4 seconds. Almost looks like Soten's now has started to lose the speed a little bit. Sebastian through the Joker. He did remember, up and over the jumps and back onto the pavement. Doesn't need to cover it off. He's well clear. The feature in RX2 gonna go to Sebastian Broberg today. What a race that we saw here in this series. Soten's going to finish second. Bjorklund rounds out your podium.
Fantastic race, fantastic start, particularly, and Broberg was able to control the race from there. Cody Winicki looking for places here as well, and that's going to be a photo finish towards the line. Not sure who won out there, but yeah, great race for Broberg. He only had 16 points at the start of today, by the way, in the RX2 points. He's just scored 15 for that race win.
So here is the results. Broberg with the victory over Sutens and Bjorklund. Paulsen gets 4th place. Tom Grady comes home P5. Linda from pole to 6. He's going to be frustrated on that one. Greg Johnson will be P7. Winicki in 8th. Van Vereld 9th. Devin Hughes in 10th. Tyler Schell is going to take a hit in the points with 11th. And Colton Easterday last on the field. Unfortunately, I believe, looks like we might be able to talk to Matthew Linda here in a second. See if he'll be ready to go here in a moment. Or we've got Broberg now showing up. Looks like we'll have him ready to talk to us from that number 53. So Sebastian Broberg coming in from 3rd on the grid on this one. And then eventually getting himself up to the front, but it certainly was a crazy start. Sebastian, have you even had a chance to breathe and ruminate on what just happened out there?
Yeah, the start, that was scary. I got totally sandwiched there. I was right between them and they, yeah, just about to sandwich me. I started to brake a little bit harder, but it could have ended so much worse than it did actually, but I don't know. Yeah,
mid-race we saw that Rene was actually looking like he might close in on you. Did you notice that gap narrowing and pick up your pace?
Yeah, I saw that. I started to like get a more feel about how the track felt with all the gravel moving, right? So and started to figure out how to take the corners differently, and felt like I started to get working on all the laps. So
well,
yeah.
Again, managed beautifully. You won in your heat. You managed to win the feature. This is going to be a huge boon in the points for you, I imagine.
Yeah, it will. And the season didn't really start that good for me. I jumped in mid-season last season. And it looked very well for me there and then, but I should have practiced more, I guess. Took a long break between the 2 seasons, didn't drive any RX at all, and I felt that when I started again. I had there was so much stuff you needed to think about again that you need to start to remember that comes to place, and I took a real thoughts from last race, like it's better to get to the finish than maybe killing someone on the way, pretty much. It's better to back off than end the race, right?
It's funny you would even mention that survive lap 1 was his key to the race on this one. Sebastian, Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
Sebastian Broberg, your winner here in the feature for RX2. Real quickly, we do have Thomas Paulsen, who finished P4, ready to chat with Ewan.
Yes, we do. We'll bring him in. Thomas, welcome in. Good to have you with us tonight. 4th place in the end. But we've got to talk about the start first of all. What did you see? How was it for you?
Yeah, my view of it was chaotic, I would say. I didn't actually drive a race without wheel damage this time. But the start of the feature was, all of a sudden I was just taking out. I saw that there was some problem on my ride, but I didn't think that I would be collected as I was so good to the left that I was. But all of a sudden, there I was.
And then what about that battle for third place as well? There were a few of you involved. Just quickly, how was that as well?
It was great fight there. I came to hit Tom. That was not intentionally, but it was a really good fight, and I thought it was clean otherwise. But my little touch there. Good fair racing, and always happy to be here.
Yeah, always fun racing. Thomas, congratulations on 4th place tonight, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
My pleasure.
Thanks very much. Thomas Pilson, 4th place tonight at Brands Hatch.
And let's not forget, we've got more fun coming next time out when we go to Charlotte for the RX2s. Definitely look out for that one. Such a unique layout for that track, so that should be a fun time. And there you can see the setup that they've got over there. Before we get to RX1, we've got a short break, but stick around. There's more racing to come here in the Racecraft Rallycross series. Welcome back to Brands Hatch once again. We are now ready for the RX1 Racecraft Rallycross Championship. Joe Peak here again with Ewan O'Leary, and we saw some wild racing down in the RX2s, which bodes well for today's action in the RX1s because the skill and the talent and the speed only ups from here. These are the top drivers in these cars in this series, getting ready to compete, and schedule pretty much the same here, Ewan, as we saw before. And I mean, my goodness, what a visit this has been to the UK.
Yeah, it's been a very, very interesting race so far in RX2. We've thoroughly enjoyed it as we take on our 3rd step of the Racecraft Rallycross series here tonight. Still Charlotte, Phoenix and Atlanta to come, but none of them quite replicate the rises and falls, the technical challenge as well that you get from Brands Hatch here tonight. It's been very, very interesting racing indeed. I think the key that the RX1 drivers will have taken away from that race is not changed. It will be survival in these opening laps in RX1 as well as RX2.
I agree. I think it's pretty much the same deal. There is your point system. Remember, 15 for that win. So that's where you really want to aim for, since that'll be the most. And here is the circuit. If you missed it the time before, this is what we've been talking about. That turn 1, it pinches down in a big way, and it's caused all kinds of problems for our drivers. But there's other zones. 2 and 3 get a little bit tight. You have to narrow your way through there. And then we've also seen pileups in 5 and 6 on top of things. So certainly is fascinating. Jacob Raffis, the first person on iRacing Dirt Road to reach 10,000 iRating. Of course, he's leading the points. Josh Fox is trying to chase him down. Then it's a pretty steep drop down to 3rd position. Pelaneva needs some extra points here to try and play catch up on them, especially to try and get away from Lavin Sivu, as McFarlane and he are only 3 points behind or less. So certainly is still all to play for, although the season goes by rather quickly in this one. And looks like they are getting ready to grid up for the first, as the qualifying has just finished here for our first of the heats here today. So up on the top, Jacob Raffis has managed to take the pole position. Pelaneva will start from P2, and Josh Edmondson will be 3rd. Keaton Swain is P4 with Sami Mata in the 5th position. Maciej Sarchaki in the 6th, followed by Robbie Kirtley in 7th and Zach Drapkin in 8th position. We're getting the race control in the background, having a little bit of a chat with them. It sounded to me, Ewan, like he's making sure they were aware of what we witnessed in the first one so that we don't repeat ourselves.
Absolutely. We don't want a repeat of the RX2 final, certainly the feature, because that was a very, very busy start indeed. Jacob Raffis, by the way, has only dropped 2 points in the whole season so far, with 56 out of a possible 58 from the first 2 rounds. Let's see. Well, he's clearly got the 6 for the qualifying. Let's see if he can get 8 for winning his heats as well now.
It's impressive out of him in Rallycross, where, as you can see, chaos is a very common thing. You'd think that it'd be easy to lose those points, as the last of them grid in of our 8. So that means that the lights now come up. The engines start to rev here on the Brabham Straights. Holding them for a bit. Green flag is out. It's a very poor start for Pelaneva on the outside of that front row. He tries to cover down to the inside to make sure that nobody sneaks up the inside of him, as we get a little bit of beating and banging up into the first turn, but nobody gets sent deep this time.
Yeah, it's a nice clean start, but just look at the way that Jacob Raffis there, it almost intimidated the rest of the field. He commanded them all to fall in line behind him, and already shows why he got that pole position there in qualifying. Absolutely flying off the start here, Jacob Raffis, on his way to another 8 points very possibly, and right now he is just putting distance into those behind. It will be really a scrap for positions further back as to who makes it to the feature.
He is absolutely, it's 2.5 seconds already between himself and the rest of the field. Pelaneva is going to elect to take the Joker on his first time through, and I don't see anybody else that are going to follow suit. So just the number 31 taking to the dirt through the final turn as they fly down the front stretch towards the first turn once again. That first time across the line, 2.3 seconds faster.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable from Jacob Raffis. By the way, there's 3 going through from each heat because we only have 2 heats for RX1 here tonight. So just bear that in mind on the left-hand side. Everyone above the green line will go through, as we've got side-by-side going on just for 3rd place briefly. Sarchaki was getting pressured by Sami Mata there, but it's all still one line for 3rd place. What a mess this is into turn 5. Side-by-side between the 2 of them.
Something happened, I think, maybe just catching the grass there, the 36, and that put him offline. He's lost the transfer position to Mata, who's going to take the Joker lap this time through, cutting as far down to the inside as he dares. He's going to be slower. Now, he had that track position, and he's going to lose it right back. Will he go to rue that, or is there enough gap between himself and those ahead that he can run some clean laps?
Well, I'm not sure, because Joni Pelaneva has already taken his Joker and there's quite some distance there, although Pelaneva is getting stuck behind Sarchaki and Edmondson at the moment. That's the disadvantage of taking your Joker early. You can get caught behind people not in your race, and that will allow Mata to close in here for that 3rd place. They're all fighting for that last transfer spot into the feature tonight, and at the moment Pelaneva, I think, is holding on to it, but if he stays too long behind these guys, then Mata will close in, and he already is.
Palaneva flirting with those apex curbs as there is a look up the inside by Edmondson on Sachaki. Which one of them will head into the Joker lap this time? Looks like Masiek will take it as Edmondson carries around the outside.
Yep, so right round through goes Josh Edmondson into third. Palaneva will get through only just for fourth, and that's about the time that he's lost. Around the outside as well, and through will go Sami Mata, actually to the inside, as Sachaki just threw his car into the middle of the road to try and block him. Didn't end up happening. Palaneva still in prime position here to take third.
Yeah, Edmondson, let's not forget, still needs to take his Joker, so Palaneva might have at least one spot at the ready for him if he keeps it clean and stays out of trouble. Look at him really abusing the outside. Oh, but Mata abused it too much. He loses control.
Yeah, it's just dropped him back. Sachaki gets back down the outside, but straight back through again was Mata. That was quite aggressive, and through will go Robbie Kirtley on both of them. More contact. Sami Mata getting very aggressive, and those two now are not going to be each other's biggest fans, and they will go straight back through Robbie Kirtley, but they'll be only fighting for fifth place.
Kirtley's just saying, you guys have fun. I'm going to keep racing here, because they certainly lost a lot of time in that one. So Kirtley slips behind, but gains a lot of time on them in that melee. As down through the first corner, Palaneva is still fighting with Edmondson, who has elected not to take his Joker yet, but he will have to this lap. So will Swain in front of them.
Yep, will absolutely have to, but should be fine. Edmondson now, the time that Palaneva has lost is quite worrying. That's going to be the big battle here for third place. I don't think anybody else is really involved, and I don't think Josh Edmondson, unfortunately for him, has got enough space there to take his Joker and still get out in third. He will have a good starting position though for the last chance qualifier.
Coming up and around the last corner, Jacob Raffis, no surprises here. He's going to take the win in his heat along with the pole. Still maximum points today. Swain will be a distant second, but he is in a transfer spot. And Palaneva sneaks through with a third place, although he lost the second from the start, as Edmondson will have to head to the last chance qualifier. Mata in lots of action out there. And unfortunately, it seems a few drivers are going to have to play catch-up.
They will do. So at the very least, finishing fourth will give you a front row start for last chance qualifier, but even so, not great news, unfortunately, for those who miss out on that occasion. But a decent race to start us off in RX1.
There is your results for the first heat. Raffis, Palaneva, Edmondson. Raffis, Swain, and Palaneva, the ones to watch out for when we go to the feature. Edmondson, Mata, Drapkin, Sachaki, and Kirtley are heading off to the last chance qualifier. And then we get to the grid with McFarlane and Pakala starting on the front row. Paris, Heiskinson, Winkler, Blanche, Peterson, and Lieflander are going to be the rest of your 8 in this field for heat number 2. And this is the last heat. Remember, it's those top 3 that will advance this time. As we wait for the lights to come up on this one, I'm sure they were dutifully watching the previous to see if anybody had figured out any tricks that maybe the RX2 guys had not yet. And definitely one of the big ones seems to be going a little bit wide up into that gravel through Druids to help your traction off the corner. Who's going to be using that tactic amongst them and then can successfully get across the jump without losing control, which also was an issue. Lights are up. The engines now start to rev. And the green flag is out once again. And coming down to the line, we got a pretty good run by both of our front row down to the first corner, although it looks like Pakala is going to back off a little bit. He finds the grip around the outside. It's going to switch back to the inside, but he has to back out of it. Oh, and somebody gets bumped off into the barrier.
No, into the wall and straight back into the middle of the pack as well. So that's a real shame for those caught up further back, but the top guys have gotten away quite well. There's 2 very near spins around turn 4 for the first time there. There's a lot of damage going on back here, but at least everybody's still in the race.
Farlane leads, Pakala second, Heiskanen is in third, but barely, as more cars banging against one another. That time it looks like it's Connor Paris who is going to have to get himself straightened out, but loses lots of momentum in the process. He'll take the Joker in the meantime.
Yeah, and so might be a good idea just when there's so much chaos going on around you. Just take the Joker, get yourself out of it, get yourself to a new place in the order, and then figure out what you're going to do from there. As long as you make it out the Joker, all fine, of course, which has happened. So things will start to settle down now. We'll get into the rhythm of the race and see what's going to go on. I think this battle for third is going to be the one that grabs attention for a good deal of this race, though.
I agree, because that's Leaflander, who's trying to get down to the inside of Heiskanen. Just about makes contact, but they keep away from one another. Better launch from the 57 to get himself out of reach. Kieran will have to do something else maybe later if he can find a better opportunity. Look at him hugging all the way down to the inside of those barriers.
Well, it's still single file between the two. Now, are there going to be any games? No Jokers this time. Kieran Leiflander still just right behind. I thought he was going to go for it, though. He's just a bit wide through turn 7. Out of turn 8 they go now, and I think Pakala took did he take the Joker on that occasion? Just in front of them? I can't be sure. Maybe not, actually, as he makes his way towards turn 1 now. No, in fact, not many of the leading drivers at all have taken their Jokers just yet. Be interesting to see how the battle between these two develops, though, because they do seem quite well matched.
A lot of curb there for Kieran. Might live to regret that one if he does it too many times. He's going to try that wide line we've seen a few drivers take and get himself the speed down the hill. Doesn't have enough, unfortunately, to try and catch back up to Heiskanen. Remember, this is for that last transfer position. 57 holds the upper hand and will automatically make it through to the feature if he doesn't get demoted by Kieran. So how hard does he fight in case, whoa, yeah, big launch here into the Joker for Leaflander.
It's a good line, though, good line through there. If you're going to choose late, then normally it doesn't go quite so well because it's not quite as pre-planned and not quite as ready for it, but he did it quite well there, did Kieran Leiflander, and now just needs a very, very good lap. If I was Santeri Heiskanen, I would take my Joker on the penultimate one, because if that way you do leave yourself the last lap to fight over that place, if of course you come out behind the number 20.
That's a good idea. Meanwhile, around Druids we go for Santeri, and behind him, way out there once again for Leaflander. It does not seem to be making him the speed like we saw for some drivers. In fact, I think he's got Winkler getting awful close to him now at this stage. As we hit the bottom of the hill, down into the bowl, almost a stadium. This track was built into a natural amphitheater, and into the Joker lap. Now it is going to be Pakala who takes it along with Heiskanen.
And Heiskanen's done well through there, very well, and he's a long way in front of Kieran Leiflander. There is the gap. Heiskanen has done a good lap here, and he will be in third place. Not very long now for Kieran Leiflander to get back on terms, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it.
Switching back and forth through 2 and into 3. You can see how narrow of a line they have to take. Oh, that was a bit too much again. Kieran, we've seen him already do that a couple times now, just clattering those turtles to the inside.
Yeah, big moment over the curves there, but it's all in vain now for Kieran Leiflander, throwing everything at this, including his car at the dirt there on the exit of the jump. But he's not close enough. He's too far away. He will be starting on the front row in the last chance qualifiers, of course, but it's not enough, and he won't be going through.
McFarlane will go from the pole to the win here today in the 04. Wasn't really hassled all the way through. Transferring with him, Juuso Pakala, another quiet race there in second, as Heiskanen will indeed come away with it. Santeri will be your last to automatically transfer in the final of our heat. So Leaflander's the first to head to the LCQ here in a few moments' time, as the rest of them complete the race with only Peterson being our DNF. So here is your results for heat number 2. Like we said, up on the top, it wound up being McFarlane, Pakala, and Heiskanen, your transfer spots. Leaflander, Winkler, Parisi, Peterson will race once again, and we'll only have one of these last chance qualifiers, as they're already gritting up for that. On the top spot of this one, Josh Edmondson with Leaflander starting next to him. Semi Mata will be P3 and Sean Winkler third. Zach Drabkin in at P5. Zach Blanche will start next to him. A pair of Zachs there on one row. Machias Sochaki in the 7th position. Connor Parisi in 8th. Robbie Kirtley 9th. And Russell Peterson rounding out your 10 cars here to try and fight over the top 6 positions. So it's a good chunk of them, but it's going to be a few drivers at the back who are going to be very disappointed and be done with today in just about 5 laps time. Here we are lined up on the grid. Looks like everybody is there. And we're getting race control once again, asking everybody to try and be nice and clean. Lights are up. Engines are revving here on the Brabham Straits. And the green flag is out. Edmondson looks like he is not off good at all. 4 wide in the background as they plunge into turn 1. Are we going to make it through this? No, we're not, because somebody loses control before they even get to the corner.
Well, I think they may have got some assistance, but even so, it's not good news. And another spin around for one of the Fiestas, unfortunately. Chaos in the start. Oh, and there's more. More goes on in towards turn 4. Dearie me. This is not a good start at all. Conor Parisi involved. Well, just say everyone's involved, to be honest, because that it did involve pretty much everybody in the field. Goodness me, what a messy start. But what do you expect with 10 of them out there on the circuit together?
And in desperation mode. Remember, if you finish within those last 4, you're done. You don't get to score more points. You don't get to have more fun racing. Leaflander leads. Matta's in second. Winkler is in third. Parisi and I believe Blanche were both heavily involved in those opening incidents. Looks like the 22 it might be a little bit down on speed as he is down in 8th, but we'll see if he can carry on as we get through the first lap and back into turn 1. Single file this time, though.
Yeah, it's a lot more single file, thankfully. Robbie Kirtley has taken his joker there quite smartly from 7th place, and you wouldn't know how close he's going to be able to get to Russell Peterson. That's going to be the battle, really, for the last transfer spot inside the top 6. There is the 024 looking for that spot inside the top 6, looking for a place in the feature, of course, coming up. This, by the way, this race will make up the bottom half of the race. It's an abnormally large number of drivers to progress through a race in a rallycross event.
Yeah, certainly is. Peterson, the last one in the transfer spots right now, as we're on board with Kirtley, who's chasing him. Watch, and looks like he is going to choose to head down into the regular racetrack as the joker is taken by Russell Peterson in front of him. So there he emerges a little bit closer ahead.
Yeah, gets that little bit closer again. And now, with jokers being taken in front, it's sort of an all-out battle with none of those strategic games in place anymore. So how close can he get there on raw pace? How much is he able to actually get close just in normal driving here without using the joker, without using that strategy? And what does Peterson do here? Does he try and go through on Parisi to make his position a little bit safer? Or does he accept the fact that Robbie Kirtley might well not challenge him here and just stay where he is? He's got a difficult call here as Peterson.
Yeah, that's a good point. He isn't completely safe here. He's through, but he's under threat, and Kirtley's going to know that. He's going to try and get aggressive, no doubt. But as of last time, like we said, that was RX2. That's drivers who tend to see maybe just a few more mistakes throughout. These are the top end of this. I mean, the strength of field in this one, I think, is somewhere in the 5,000s. A mistake in front of them, though. There's one of those rare mistakes. That is Parisi. He cuts back, but he doesn't have the speed. He hits the curb. That's going to put him into the side, and it pinches down. Peterson has to back out of it.
Well, that was very close. Peterson very nearly got squashed between Parisi and the wall on the exit of turn 3 there, but they all make it through. That was music to Robbie Kirtley's ears there, or eyes, I suppose, as he saw it in front of him, because the 2 in front battled away. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually look like he's got the pace to stick with them, Kirtley, but if Peterson and Parisi do that again, then he could be involved.
No doubt. So they're going to have to mind their P's and Q's here in this battle for 5th. Parisi was sitting so much better before that error. I think we had a swap around between Winkler and Mata up for 2nd as well. So a few changes there. That's only going to change their start position as we begin the final lap. Cars looking a little bit war-torn. Who will actually get to the finish?
Yeah, well, who will get to the finish? Yeah, I think they will do, but the car of Conor Parisi is completely destroyed, or almost. The front end looking a bit second-hand at the moment, but I think he's going to be okay to make it through to the final. These guys will start on the back row together by the looks of things, in 11th and 12th as we go through this last chance qualifier, with Kieran Leiflander starting 7th, of course, on his way to a last chance qualifier win by the looks of it.
He's managed this one beautifully. There he is on your screen in the number 20. As, there's the Joker lap for, I believe, that is Sean Winkler down to the inside. He's going to lose one position, maybe two. We'll see in a second as Leaflander will take the win. And the last chance qualifier, Mata, will be second. Edmondson is your third place. Winkler gets through in fourth. Connor Parisi will sneak by in fifth. Peterson looks like he is going to make it in that sixth spot. Kirtley just didn't have the oomph at the end.
It's not quite. Just don't think he had the pace quite. You can always capitalise on battling in front of you in these last chance qualifiers, but he didn't quite have the pace to do it, and in the end just misses out, unfortunately, in seventh.
So here's your results from that one. Leaflander, your winner over Mata and Edmondson. Winkler in P4, Connor Parisi in 11th, as Russell Peterson finishes 6th, Robbie Kirtley 7th, and Zach Blanche 8th. Drapkin finishing 9th, and Sochaki looks like his problems sent him into the pit lane prematurely, and he'll round him out, not advancing through. We get a little bit of a warm-up, and again, we get a chance to take a breather now at this stage, Ewan. So we've got a number of drivers who have managed to get through in that last chance qualifier. Do they push hard to try and get a better overall result, or do they just settle for the fact that, you know what, I'm at least going to score more points here today?
Well, I think that if you want to actually realistically win this race and beat Jacob Raffoth, then you're going to have to beat him in towards turn one. You're going to have to put him under pressure. We saw in his heat that he sort of commanded the front of the race and sort of pushed everyone else out of the way, proverbially, and made sure he claimed turn one. And once he's in the lead, there's just no looking back. They've got to remember that as they go towards turn one, that if they are going to challenge him, they have to try something in towards turn one. And that will be the job of the likes of Evan McFarlane, Josh Fox, and everyone else who's close by him on the way towards that first turn, which does provide a chance to get ahead of the leader.
One thing I've been kind of watching and taking note of here is the differences in the starts from the drivers. It's not just, put the throttle to the floor and drop the clutch here. It seems like it makes a big difference on just getting that perfectly right, along with the timing and how much.
Well, that is the question here. What are we going to see over the course of the next 10 laps? In the RX2 race, we saw a very, very busy start indeed, followed by a calming through the rest of the race. But just wonder what we're going to see here in the RX1 final. Now, surely the start is going to be a little bit calmer than the one we saw in RX2. We're certainly hoping so.
Yeah, let's hope that we at least get some racing. I mean, we did last time for sure, but it was certainly really chaotic as well. Looks like they are getting ready to grid now. Your feature, last feature of the day here in the Racecraft Rallycross series at Brands Hatch for round 3, and Jacob Raffis is going to be starting from the pole with McFarlane in second and Keaton Swain in third. Yuko Pakala will be P4, followed by Palaneva in fifth. Santeri Heiskanen P6. And you get to the first of the drivers who managed to get through in the LCQ. Leaflander, along with Mata, starting in 8th. Edmondson will be in 9th. Winkler 10th. Parisi in 11th. And Peterson, the last one to get a chance to try and throw his hat into the ring here in this feature race. It is a frantic series, this one. Expect it to continue on here in this last start of the night. Just waiting on Leaflander. Everybody else is out there already and good to go. And there he is. So now we'll start to get the signal as the lights come up. Last time for the engines begin to rev and to roar. Looking for the call. And there it is. Green flag is out. Somebody in the middle of the field absolutely did not go and gets swamped. But Raffis is going to look to the first one down to the first turn. He's going to get there, but he had a real challenge from McFarlane.
He did, and he slid straight in front of McFarlane as well, as we do have a couple of drivers off. 3, in fact, through turn 2, and that is a real shame, but they haven't been able to overtake Raffoth off the start here, unfortunately. McFarlane was right on the outside of him there. He did challenge him a bit, but Raffoth made sure he slid straight in front of McFarlane there. It was a bit of a risky one, actually, but it paid off, and now he's in the lead.
Mata and Edmondson looked like they were involved. I think Leaflander may have as well, because he made a comment about something hurting over the radios. We get some more action. Parisi, whoa, giving a hip check there. Paladeva, I think, getting it from Winkler. Manages to keep it out of the wall, but barely.
Well, that was all going on there. But further towards the back of the field, there were 3 drivers off towards turn 2. I saw another pull off to the side out of turn 3. Then there was all that going on at 5 and 6 as well. Thankfully, the leaders got away cleanly, but for those further behind, it was a messier start. Of course, the busiest RX1 start we've seen all of today because of the slightly lower numbers in the heats. The last chance qualifier had 10. Of course, this is 12, and it's the busiest start of the RX1 evening.
Off the jump for Jacob and down into turn 5. He's got a gap of about 0.8 of a second over McFarlane. What does he do in this situation? Does he have the pace? Because we haven't seen them go head-to-head yet. Remember, they raced in different heats here, Ewan. So do they know what the other has? And does McFarlane maybe have something up his sleeve?
Well, I'm not sure he does at this moment. It's quite a long way behind Rafos, who leads at the end of another lap. 1.2 seconds is the gap, and Rafos just does not make a mistake. He's so difficult to beat, and right now proving that once again on his way to maximum 29 points at the end of today, I think, as well. McFarlane pushing him all the way, of course, but just not getting anywhere near for now. There's just no mistakes from Rafos. That's the problem. You can't capitalise on any mistakes because there aren't any.
We've already lost Mata and Palaneva. They're officially DNFs for this race. And Edmondson is last on the field of 10 that are still running at the moment. Meanwhile, through 5 and 6, watching the fight between Pakala, Swain, and Heiskanen. They've gotten themselves stretched apart. Looks like they've got a bit of room to work with, but not enough room that they could stay ahead of one another when they take that joker. Speaking of which, 2 wide, one of them takes it.
Yeah, it's through the joker for Sean Winkler, and he would come out in 9th position at the moment. Just bobbles over the bumps there through the corner and back out onto the circuit again. He'll hope for those just in front like Lifflander to take their jokers, and maybe he can pick up an extra couple of points or so. But the field's spreading out now as we approach the end of 4 laps, so we approach the end of a normal distance. Of course, this feature race double the length of a normal race at 10 laps.
So they've got some distance to go still. Heiskanen trying to see if he can reel in Keaton, Swain, and these laps in the middle. Let's see if any of them takes that joker this time through amongst these 3 in the mid-pack. Pakala does not, Swain does not, Heiskanen does not. They'll all keep on going, stay on the paved side of the track. Had an interesting note as well about that strategy of saving that joker to the end. If you're coming up slow, I wonder if that means you're going to be losing less time, because you only have to do half the straightaway essentially off the joker on that last lap.
Yeah, it does save you a few tenths of a second. I would put the normal loss at about maybe 1.5 seconds. Maybe that's slightly dramatic, but 1.5 seconds is probably the loss that you get from the joker around here based on experience so far tonight. But yeah, you do apparently lose a few tenths, 2 or 3 tenths less when you do that, because you do have that run from the start finish line, of course, to turn 1, which of course your momentum is bad for. If you go through the joker lap, your momentum is bad through the whole thing of that. If you take it on the last lap, your momentum is bad only up to the start finish line where the race ends.
So maybe drivers trying to get a little bit clever there on that one. And so far, Jacob has decided it's not worth trying to do something tricky like that. He's already taken his, so is McFarlane. So they're both on even footing and about 3 seconds apart as we're looking at Parisi now, who has taken his, but Lieflander has not. If you're Connor, I wonder if it's worth just kind of waiting patiently.
Whoa, yeah, that was a good entry into turn 1. He gets a lot closer. I think patience probably is the best call here, but is he going to use that or not is the question. Lieflander in front has not used the joker, neither has Russell Peterson, and maybe Parisi will be eyeing up that 6th place as well, because if he does try and get through on Lieflander early on, he could maybe start to chase down Peterson and maybe try and think about 6th place as well.
Whoa! Well, that answers that question. Lieflander goes off track. He had a bad jump coming down out of Druids, and that hands it over immediately to Connor.
Well, it answers that question. Also, the decision was made for him, wasn't it, really? Lieflander got it all wrong over the jump and takes the joker now, which is probably the good idea. Make sure you don't get into that wall, because it just grab you in and it loses you a bit of time. Lieflander bumps over those bumps, and John Winkler will go through. Let's not clip him. Oh, very close again. It is always a very nervy moment when there's someone coming out of the Joker there. But now Sean Winkler is through into 8th place, and that's not too much of a surprise.
Gets a little hello there from Kieran in the meantime, although I think Kieran also gave a bit of a sorry over the radio when he saw Winkler get very close to him on the exit. Meanwhile, farther up, that is Heiskanen chasing Swain. This is for 4th position now, but we have yet to see any of these three take that Joker lap, so they still owe us some time. How close, I wonder, is that going to put them back to guys like Peterson and Parisi?
I don't think it's going to be too bad. Heiskanen goes over the Joker now, and he remains 5th, so yeah, he's quite a few seconds in front of them as well.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine in terms of those guys. The next ones to watch for me are the likes of Peterson falling back towards Parisi maybe after taking the Joker, and then seeing who's going to come out on top in that battle for 3rd as well between Pakala, Swain and Heiskanen, all of whom I think can still get it from this point.
This is your leader, Rafis, in the number 13. He's up to 4.5 seconds now. Boy, he's leaving no margin for error. He takes his nose right up to that inside barrier each time, almost scraping it as he goes through. Got to be careful that he doesn't tip the car around.
Yeah, he just absolutely pinpoint perfection. He never takes a lap off. He's always trying to set the fastest lap of the race on every single lap, and he's always just maximising the road in every single way. Once again, a remarkable Jacob Rafos drive, and one that we've come to expect from him as Russell Peterson comes into the pit lane. The Joker lap, I should say, not the pit lane at all. Peterson goes out in 7th place. No surprises that Connor Parisi overtook him there.
Yep, that'll move Connor up into 6. Both he and Peterson have gained 5 spots from the start, so not too shabby out of them. Granted, some of that from our retirements here today, it appears. But you got to take what you can get, that is for sure. As we look up towards, I think this is McFarlane here, yeah, in 2nd place. Now 5.5 seconds behind Jacob Rafis. 2 laps to go. Make that one here in a few hundred feet.
Yep, it's going to be just 1 lap to go, and Jacob Rafos is on his way to an absolute maximum in the championship here today for RX1. He's so dominant in this series and will remain so as well. This battle between Swain and Heiskanen, I think, is going to be one to watch. Pakala should join them on the podium, but will Swain come out ahead of Heiskanen with those couple of attempts he's going to gain by taking this Joker lap on the last lap?
That's going to be tight, that is for sure. Yeah, Pakala up there still owes us, so I'm sure he'll be in soon. This is that number 13 once again, down right to it. Let's see if he cuts it as close. This time he gives it a little bit more margin. He doesn't need it. He knows he's got a huge gap and keeps himself out of harm's way, and then swings it back and forth up into Clark. The long climbing uphill right-hander all the way around and over the crest. And Jacob Rafis, as was mentioned, a perfect day out here, scoring maximum points once again with a win here in the UK. McFarlane will be 2nd, and Pakala, who finally takes his Joker, will wind up 3rd.
Yep, the podium set from quite early on. Jacob Rafos surely knew that he was going to take the race win from quite early on as well, but here he goes doing the donuts anyway, and he's going to get slapped by someone powering into the first turn as well. But it's celebration for Jacob Rafos taking his 3rd feature race win of the season all over again. He's still only dropped 2 points in the first half of this season.
Just unbelievable. Here is your results. Jacob, as we mentioned, your victor over Evan McFarlane by 5 seconds in Rallycross terms. That's a pretty wide margin. Yuko Pakala will be in the 3rd spot. Keaton Swain wound up taking that 4th, but it was by a mere 1/10 of a second over Santeri Heiskanen in P5, Connor Parisi in 6th, and Peterson in 7th. Then it was Sean Winkler, P8. Leaflander did finish the race in 9th. Edmondson as well in 10th, but DNFs for Palaneva and Mata behind them. Well, this was certainly a fascinating one, and it looks like I think we might have Rafis ready to talk to us if I'm seeing the right person in our waiting room. Going to double check to make sure that that is who I think it is, because the name looks to be potentially not who we are hoping to be talking to. See if we can pull in Jacob and get him in here. So
yeah, he's just getting himself ready, isn't he? I'm not sure what he's doing, but celebrating, I guess. But he won't be able to hear us at the moment if he comes in here. So we'll have to wait for a second for him. But I'm sure he'll be very pleased with another great drive here at Brands Hatch. It's another round win, of course. Still 3 rounds to go, and it's just hard to see any way and any reason for him not winning one of these races or one of these rounds. He's just so dominant in this series.
looks like before we get to Jacob, we're going to talk to Evan, our second place finisher, see how he feels about this one, and if he kind of knew after he lost that battle into turn 1 if that was it. Evan, it looked like that we kind of predicted that Jacob needed to just take that first place into turn 1, and it was going to be difficult to beat him after that. Were you kind of in the same mind there that you knew you had to beat him into the apex?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, Jacob, he's super fast. He's super consistent. So I mean, he's basically picture perfect. So I knew I'm really good in the fresh track, but not in rubber. So I knew I had to do my best and try to get a good start. But he did a great job blocking the both rows. So I mean, yeah, I was just trying to hang on, maybe get some points, and just try my best and try to get up there. But you know, just Jacob doing Jacob things.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Now, we were worried because of what we saw on RX2 about how the first corner was going to look here, and most of the races are actually relatively clean, but 2 and 3 looked like they were still quite a trouble spot. Was it scary getting into that pinch zone in there?
Yeah. I mean, like, people, they take different lines, so everyone's side by side. So like it's like a one lane like apex or chicane. So I just try to slow down, keep it straight, and hopefully people would wait for me, which I'm glad that did happen, because if that didn't happen, I think the whole field would have got killed. And I'm glad that these drivers, they're good enough to know to, you know, like, not to send it like 3 wide first lap and just follow in line and try to make up the time they can.
Well, this was our only round outside of the United States. We head off back to Charlotte. You looking forward to what I consider one of the more unique layouts that iRacing has put forward?
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. Charlotte's my most hated track, and I'm not very consistent there. So I mean, I'm gonna try to do the best I can, but I hate that track. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'd like to thank KS Industries, Fluid Logic, True Speed, Millen, Marvin Sports, Pit Viper, VSC, Vermont Sports Car, and those guys at OSS, as long as Matthew Lindy, Robbie Lareau, great coach, great mentor, and Mario Bonfante Jr.
There you go, Evan McFarlane, your second place finisher in the 04 today for our feature. I do believe that Ewan has caught up with Jacob Raffis, our winner here today.
Yes, he's in here now. Jacob, welcome in. Good to have you with us once again. Winner here at Brands Hatch tonight. Tell us about this circuit and how you found this evening.
I actually love this circuit. It's pretty good. It's one of my favorite tracks. So yeah, and we just for a race we just tried to stay in and have a good pace, and I think we did.
Certainly did, and you got away with the race win. What was the mindset like going down towards turn 1? I do wonder, you guys in RX1, how much you see of RX2 that goes before you. You would have seen in the feature the big crash on lap 1 of the feature race into turn 1. How wary of that were you going in towards turn 1 for that feature, and how important was turn 1 in your victory here tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I had turn 1 is pretty important here. I'd rather stay on the outside, to be honest, since it's like you can slide around here on the outside if you do it perfectly. Yeah, you can take the lead by doing that. I prefer starting feature instead.
Well, it worked out well for you in the end. Congratulations on the win here, Jacob, tonight here at Brands Hatch, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Thank you. And I'd like to give a shout out to Nitro Circus, Sim Racing Team, Racecraft, Sim Magic, Sim Racing Ice, Next Level Racing, and yeah, that's about it.
Thanks very much. Jacob Ruffos, winner here tonight at Brands Hatch.
That's going to wrap up our interviews, which means it's time to look forward here from England over to Charlotte. And sounds like Ewan, that's going to be a bit of a divisive one.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Round 4, Charlotte will be here for RaceSpotTV, of course, once again. Make sure you check your time zones and stuff, because the clocks are going backwards and all sorts going on at the moment. So get yourself ready for that, and make sure you join us, because we'll be back again on the 19th of November for that race at Charlotte. I think it's fair to say a very different racetrack to this one at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, a lot more flat, that's for sure, and very twisty as well. I think Brands Hatch, a much quicker circuit compared to what we can see here with Charlotte. Well, make sure and tune in for us on that one when we return on November 19th. Thank you for, of course, joining us. I'm Joe Peak here with Ewan O'Leary and Dane Baird behind the scenes. Can't thank you enough for giving us your patronage here on RaceSpotTV. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.